Hello, Grace. Hello.
Hi, Greg.
Hi there. How are you today?
Fine.
Excellent. Excellent. Have you had a good day? A busy day?
Yeah, kind of. It's busy.
Oh, okay. What were you doing today? Were you working on something?
Yeah, I'm working on the project.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
An interesting one.
You know that the business is business. It's not always.
True. True. Yeah. Sometimes I agree. Sometimes you just have to do it, don't you?
Yes.
Sometimes it's just a case of, we call it plodding, or there's a great expression in English, which I'll share with you.
Floating. It's like
Plodding. Yeah.
too much water floating.
Yeah, it's sort of let me just get this up. It's a funny word. We call it, there's two things you can say, wading through treacle, or we can say plodding. Treacle,
Floating.
plodding, yeah. Treacle, wading through treacle. Wading is well, actually I'll put wading, you probably know. It's a way of walking through water.
Yes.
So, but treacle, you can't walk through. Treacle is very sticky.
Yes.
It's like,
very hard. You
yeah,
need to work very hard.
Well, yeah, it's impossible because treacle is something you eat. So a treacle is like syrup.
Yes.
So it's a bit like swimming through syrup. You
Yeah.
know, very, very hard. Or plodding, which is a great word. Plodding, slowly moving and unexciting, which I think you were describing, plodding. So it's just like,
yes, plodding, exactly.
plodding. Yeah, that's a great way to describe. If you're having a day which isn't very good, you could say, I've been plodding through my work all day, and it's very sort of slow, or wading through treacle is a great expression, actually, because you're trying to swim through treacle, and it's very hard to go through. So so very, very it's a nice expression.
This is a very British way to say, right?
Yes, yeah, we have many ways to say things like this in England. We have many descriptive phrases for life if it's tough. You know, we often think like that, and we sometimes do that, say that. So I'm going to get on with the movies because it's interesting. But what I was thinking is, can you think of just a quick, I mean, we might get someone else, but I know you'll be good. Quick words associated with films, like how, you know, sort of what people make a film. You know, how many people, the names of the people who make a film when you're filming a film. Can you think of who controls the film? I just thought we just do a bit of word association. Who's the person who makes the film?
The producer, the
producer. Yeah, that's a great word. That's really good. And who actually physically makes the actor? Director. Yeah. And then you get actors.
The actress and the actress.
Actor, yeah, and actresses. Interestingly, I don't know if you know now, but quite a few female actors now call themselves actors. They don't like to be called actresses.
They don't. Yeah, I think that is kind of gender description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is a gender, and quite a few female actors just go, don't want to be called an actress. It's sort of like
you want to be like actor because they want to get the same pay as the male.
Exactly.
I know the woman power. It's very popular recently.
Yeah, it's important as well.
I know.
Who else would you get on a film set? Can you think of any other technical people who you get? Photographer, yeah.
Oh, for photographer, yes, for photographer.
Did you say another word? I didn't hear you. There's another word that you can put in front of.
Well, I say photographer.
Well, there is, but there's the word for filming is Cinematographer.
Okay, cinematographer.
Oh, sorry, put the E in the wrong place. Cinematographer. That's the person who actually films a movie.
Okay.
A movie, a cinematographer. And then you get, can you think of anyone else?
The sound producer.
Sound man. Yeah, sound man. And then
the makeup, the special makeup.
Yeah, special effects.
And the editor.
Editor, yes, sound. So yeah, that's really good. Makeup, sorry, special effects would help if I put that right. Special effect, yeah, special effects guy. And editor, yeah, editor. There's also a load of other words which are really strange. There's a word called well, it's very strange.
The screenwriter or screen printer. Screenwriter.
Yeah, screenwriter's great.
And
screenwriter.
They have to separate to the original screen, no, the original
writer. You're right.
And the screen.
You're right. Yeah, often it's an adapted screenwriter. So you might get someone who writes the book, but then someone who writes the actual script is a screenwriter.
Okay.
You get this word. I don't know if you know what this is.
Operator.
Yeah, do you know what that is? A dolly? It's a very no, it's a very unusual term. It's you know when they make a film and the camera moves on a track.
They push on the track.
Yeah, that is called a dolly.
Okay.
That's called a dolly, and the man who has to push that track, the camera on the track, is called a dolly operator.
Okay.
And then the other term, which is quite good, focus puller. Now, focus puller, that is where on the camera, you know, sometimes where it's blurry.
Yes.
It's blurry, and then slowly it becomes sharp on the screen.
So it's not controlled by the photographer.
No. This is a separate person to pull focus, and it's because sometimes what they have to do is I've been on quite a few film sets because I have worked as an extra, and also I've worked on some people's films. Sometimes what they have to do is measure with a tape measure the distance between the person and the camera, because say there are two people in the shot, and then someone at the back and someone in the foreground. Maybe the camera starts off with the focus, the sharpness on the person at the back, and then they want the person in the foreground to react or say something. It's impossible to get the focus on both people because it's so far away. So what they do is they have a handle on the lens, and you have to turn it, but they have to measure. They have to measure the distance, otherwise it goes out of focus on the person in the front. It's very difficult to do because you have to direct the actors, but then the man who pulls focus has to wait until the person at the back stops speaking, and also do it very evenly. So the focus is very sort of, otherwise it would look terrible if you recognized it. And it's a really important job. There's also another person, which is really strange, called a Foley operator.
Oh, I know this.
Yeah. And Foley is a strange term. I think it's connected to actually originally a bit of equipment. Let's see what it comes up. What do you think it is?
Relating concerning the addition of record sound effect.
It's to do with the sound. So say for instance, say they're filming, I don't know, in a storm, in the storm, but obviously they can't wait for a storm to happen naturally.
They will use something to make it happen.
Exactly.
Yes, so I know.
They would film the rain with a rain machine.
Yes.
And and they can make the rain. They just get the water and they keep it going. But there's not a storm, so there's no storm sound.
Yeah.
So then afterwards, the Foley operator or Foley creator makes all the sound, the extra
I
oral.
know Taiwan has one very good in this Foley.
Oh, okay.
Operator. Yes.
Oh, great. I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah, it's a great job. And I have a friend who is a composer, a film composer as well. And he won a big award, film composer, because he's really great. His name's Frank Ilfman. And he when I used to direct fashion shows, he used to do sound for me. And he was really brilliant. And now he's a big film composer. I don't work.
I think heard about him.
Yeah, he's really good. He's won lots of awards, but he used to make great soundtracks for my fashion shows, because I'd say to him, I want dialogue and sound, and we used to use old bits of movie dialogue, and it was very powerful, very, very powerful. But we're going to talk about the golden age of Hollywood, but I wanted to show you, well, we'll look at the video first, but some of the video, and but I've got a couple of things to share with you, because I was talking yesterday about silent film, and I've got a great silent film, which I can show you first, actually, because it's very, very interesting. It's called Metropolis, and it's from, the film is called Metropolis. And it's directed by a man called Fritz Lang. Oh, Fritz Lang, who was an émigré. I don't know. Do you know this word, émigré?
Yeah.
Do you know that émigré?
Yes.
Someone who went from one country to another.
Another country. Yes.
Yeah, he had to, because basically he lived in Germany.
Okay.
And when the Nazis came to power in Germany, he realized he'd have to leave because he couldn't work. And first of all, he went to Paris, and then he went to Hollywood. And but when he was in Germany in the 1920s, he made an amazing film, and many amazing films, actually. But his most famous film, it's so iconic. It's really definitely iconic, that many people have used it for inspiration for other films. And for its time, it was made in 1927, so a long time, almost 100 years ago. And when you see it, but I've just got the trailer. This is the trailer for the film, so hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'll play you the trailer. And it's a great film to watch, because it's got no dialogue, but the sound is very good. But the sets, the special effects for its time are incredible. So this is the trailer. This is the company. What's interesting, I don't know if you saw this, the first bit in here, but the city, so I'll just play it again. That looks so modern, doesn't it? It looks like many cities now. Now
it looks like a 3-dimension.
Yeah, well, he imagined a city like this when there were no cities like this.
So he has kind of vision.
Real vision, yeah, real future vision. Yeah, you're right. And so they built these amazing model sets, and then they did this thing. But in a way, you could say that his vision, lots of people then created. But also the film is not about how good it is. The film is about how, well, it will tell you a bit. I'll tell you a bit about the story. I'll play the thing. It's only 2 minutes. Also, he was one of the first people to introduce a robot. The idea of a robot. No one had ever seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. And the word robot is a Czech word originally. And he made this amazingly iconic robot. And it's very interesting because it's all about good and evil, this film.
But this is real.
Yeah.
This is surreal.
Yeah. It's amazing when you watch it. It's quite long, but for instance, I'll tell you a bit about the story. Basically, the girl in it, the beautiful girl, the city has two levels: the underground, where all the workers work, and then all the rich people live in the beautiful buildings up in the sky, and the workers keep the city powered, as you can see, and it's very hard. And then the young girl basically wants to help the workers, get a better life. And she's really good spirited. But what they do is they kidnap her and then they make a robot copy of her. So the robot becomes her, but the robot's not good. The robot's really evil. And it's a really good story. It's really clever, but the special effects for its time are amazing. I think
I saw something. One thing is like Diva.
Yeah, Diva.
Diva to me, and then another thing is like Tower of Babel.
That's great. Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel. Yeah.
Babel.
Yeah. It's very iconic. Very iconic. Sort of. He uses a lot of very strong.
Yes, I guess those things he produced by a model, right?
Yes, models.
But also he built the models and
a model for the city. But also because it was in Germany in the 20s, it was made in 27. The studio was very powerful. It was called UFA. It was the biggest studio, and they had a lot of money, and they built very, very big sets. With the people in them. So there were thousands of people. And and interestingly, the scene with the water, where all the water came in, people did drown on the film set. They didn't have
that money does work.
Exactly. So they did have problems, but they used so many. They did use models, but they also used a lot of extras because in Germany at the time, a lot of people were unemployed. But it's a good film to watch one time. It's a very cultural film. If you ever get the chance to see it in a big cinema, it's amazingly powerful. But let's see what they say about the golden age of Hollywood. Well, I think there's two bits. There's two videos we could watch. I think
this is long.
Yeah, we won't read that. That's crazy. That's a lot of information. But unforgettable scenes from Hollywood. I think this will be better to watch. So do you know the name of this character? Do you know this film? It's a very famous Hollywood film.
An Angry Gable? I don't know.
No, that's a good one. No, this is Dorothy from the Wizard of Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. And so we'll watch this, but I can tell you a few things because I have two friends who got to know a lot of old Hollywood actresses. And about 10 years ago, I did a photo shoot with a very, very old Hollywood actress. They asked me to style her for a magazine, a London magazine. And when I styled her, she was 92, and she was amazing. She told me some amazing stories. We'll watch this and see, but these are just scenes.
Greg Levick.
You know this one? It's a very good film, this. It's called Casablanca.
Yes, Casablanca.
Casablanca. It's a great film. It's interesting because in England they used to play these films on the television on a Saturday afternoon at like 2 o'clock. So it was a great way to see an old black and white film, or Sunday afternoon. And I learned a lot about Hollywood from watching these films with my family. It's actually a great film, Casablanca.
Yes, it is.
Very, very. And I've been to interestingly, I've been to Casablanca itself in Morocco, but the film is sort of based more on Tangiers, but they called it Casablanca. But it's a great film. She's so good. This is Ingrid Bergman.
Yes, she's pretty.
I don't think I'll write that book after all.
Think of all the fun you had, though. Do you mind if I try?
I'll put it.
Gregor, I think.
Yes.
Don't make me laugh.
Clark Gable.
Oh, you're such a smart Alex. Nobody knows anything but you. I'll stop a car and I won't use my thumb.
What are you going to do?
Oh.
The system on my own.
This.
Oh, Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Put your hand in there.
Oh. It's a very interesting story about this. I'll tell you. Well, actually, we'll watch the clip and then I'll tell you the story. This was her first big film. Her very first big film. It's called Roman Holiday.
Yes.
And with Gregory Peck.
Yes.
And she had a very interesting life, Audrey Hepburn. She was from Belgium originally, and she was a child during the war, and she didn't have much to eat. But she was an inexperienced actress. She'd done a few things, but this was her first big role. And he was the star, not her. But when the director finished the picture, Gregory Peck said, you have to put her name above my name.
Yeah.
Because
I heard the story before. And also, I think he loves her forever.
A little, yes. Well, many people loved her because she was such a nice lady, such an interesting lady. But with this scene, what's interesting is they didn't tell her, I'll quickly tell you, they didn't tell her what was going to happen in this scene. So she knew her lines. And so that's why when you see the reaction at the end, it's not acting. It's just her reacting, and it's such a good. If you watch it very carefully, it's very, very good bit of acting.
Do they fit now?
Oh, hard idea.
Let's see you do it.
I don't think I can get any. No, it's no.
She will put her hand into it, right?
Yeah.
Let's see you do it.
Sure.
And that's not act. That's just her reacting, because they filmed this in Rome, in front of this real monument, an ancient monument. So they told her the story, but they didn't tell her what he was going to do with the hand and everything. And so her reaction to him was just like, oh, you terrible man, because she was very young. As such a good scene. She won an Oscar. She won the Best Actress Oscar. But also an interesting story, when the film was premiered in London and she met the Queen and the Queen Mother, they looked at her, because she's playing a princess in the film, and they met her, and afterwards the Queen Mother said to the Queen, she's one of us. I thought she was so lovely and so elegant and graceful and natural. Very, very good actress.
She has that natural attitude like a royal.
Yes.
Yes,
exactly. Very elegant,
very charming.
Charming, exactly. Very, very charming. Yeah.
Yes.
What does you want, Barry? What do you want?
This is James Stewart.
Just say the word.
James Stewart. Hmm.
Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the move.
This is a very, very famous actor. This is Marlon Brando. I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever heard.
really?
Yeah. Now this is
I only know he getting older. I don't know.
yeah. Oh,
you
you
know.
have to what in this film. The film is called Streetcar Named Desire. It's
Oh, okay.
and this is his
I know
first big film.
the film name, but I didn't
Yeah.
watch.
He won the best actor. He was like an animal in this film, a lion, a caged lion. The performance is incredible. It was what was interesting. The acting was a breakthrough. It was such. They called it. Actually, I'll put it in the thing. It's interesting. They called it method acting. They called it method acting, and it was a style of acting that started in New York at the Actors Studio, and it was very very naturalistic acting. So you would sort of become the part. You weren't just reading your lines and then you go home. You know, you
Oh,
become
okay.
that character.
That will
And
be more real, but the
more
people,
real.
the
Yeah.
person will get involved too emotional.
Exactly, and that's why he started off being this amazing actor when he just. And in this film, he plays a character called Stanley Kowalski, but
Mhm.
he and the film is a Streetcar Named Desire, obviously Streetcar. And it's from a play by Tennessee Williams. Oops. And I think I spelled that wrong. Tennessee, another E. Tennessee Williams, and
Yeah.
it's a wonderful film. It's interesting because some old black and white films, when you see them now, they are old. You know, they look very stagey. But some actors transcend, is a great word. Transcend. Do you know this word? Transcend.
Oh, transcend. Yes.
Transcend. Yeah, they transcend their time. You know, it's like even though they're in an old film, you can relate to them, and they seem like they're from now. Audrey Hepburn is one of those people. You can watch an Audrey Hepburn film now and think, oh, she's great. You know, Marlon Brando, early Marlon Brando, it's the same. James Dean is another the American actor who died very young and only made 6 films.
Yeah, James Dean.
James Dean, when you see him in a film now, he looks like he's from now, and
Yes.
everyone else in the film looks old.
Yes.
And
because
and
he
then-
died very young.
he died very young in a car crash. Yeah, he had a very troubled life. And also another actress, I think, like who can do this is Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
Yeah, if you watch a Marilyn Monroe film, she is so good in it. Her acting is so fresh. She was an Actors Studio. She was a graduate from the Actors Studio, and you know, she really became her roles. But they transcending the time.
the Moon River, right? I
Moon
remember.
River, yeah, Moon River's a great film, great
Yeah.
music, and great. And another film by Audrey Hepburn, if you want to see a good one, a musical, is called Funny Face.
Yes, Funny Face. Yes.
It's very good songs, very good songs in the movie. So let's just see what else there is. There's a bit. I think they've got some Marilyn. There's a lot of words there, but this is his performance. This isn't the best.
Hey, mix in this.
This is really old Hollywood. This is Jackie Coogan.
Oh, George Clooney.
You know, this is Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, Charlie
And
Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin, a silent film. And this little boy is called Jackie Coogan. He was an amazing child actor. I mean, he was about 4 years old and he was such a good actor. This was, I think, very early, not early Charlie Chaplin. It's a great film.
Well, I'm not late. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause. Even if this room gets filled with lies.
This man, James Stewart, is a great Hollywood actor. So many good films. I mean, there's James Stewart. I mean, there's a film he made about Christmas that's considered one of the greatest films to watch at Christmas. And the name, I've just suddenly forgotten the film. It's not It Happened One Night. The film we're showing is Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. Now, actually, the film, I'll get it up because it's a really great film. Oh, yeah, it's a Christmas film. What's it called? It's called It's a Wonderful Life. And
oh, I heard the song. The song has It's a Wonderful Life.
No, this isn't it's not in the film. That's another one. But this film, they often show it at Christmas in England.
Oh,
and it's I tell you, it's a film that will make you cry. It's designed to make you cry, in a way. Basically, what it is this really good man. He's a really good man, and he's married. Everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong at the beginning of the film. But what happens is he's thinking about killing himself. It's so bad. But then there's a man who's an angel, and he's a new angel up in heaven, and he's sent back to try and help this man. And I'll play the trailer. It's only 1 minute, but it's such a beautiful film. It's a really good, it makes you feel a sense of humanity when you watch it.
Well, who are you? I told you, Joe.
I'll see if I can get the subtitles up. I know it won't let me. That's annoying.
George, I'm your guardian angel. What is it you want, Mary? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Oh, Mr. Bailey.
Sand and mangle hard work. I wish I had $1 million. Mr. and Mrs. Martini, welcome home. This is what I wished for. You see, George, you really had a wonderful life.
It doesn't really show how good it is, but I tell you, it's such a beautiful film. It's called It's a Wonderful Life.
Me and my friend, we would love to watch Love Actually in Christmas every year.
Oh, Love Actually. Oh, okay, that's a good film. It's
Yes.
a Wonderful Life. There's a great black and white film which is, I don't know if you know, there's an actress and they haven't got her in this thing, but it's called, her name was Betty Davis. Have you ever heard of this lady, Betty Davis?
Oh yeah, Betty Davis.
And she was an actress who worked in the whole golden age of Hollywood. And there was even a song that mentioned her because she had very powerful eyes. And there's a song called Betty Davis Eyes that came out in the 1980s. But there's a film she did, and it's really strange. It's called Now Voyager. And it's well, in fact, what we can do is I'll show you the trailer, but it's Now Voyager comes from a poem by Walt Whitman, the American poet, who's the national poet almost of America, Walt Whitman. And the poem Now Voyager, if I can get it up, is one of the most simple but beautiful poems. See if I can just get it up. It's a really great poem. If it will come up. It's just got 2 lines in it, this bit. And what I'll do is I'll play you the trailer for the movie, and because it's a black and white film, and the story, I'll quickly tell you a bit of the story. Bette Davis plays a character, and she's old, she's not young, and she lives with her mother, and the mother is really, really horrible to her, and they're really rich, and the character Bette Davis plays, the daughter, she's older, and she's been living with the mother, and she's basically losing her mind because the mother's very controlling. And then what happens is she's got a sister-in-law who's very helpful, and brings a man to the house, and they're very rich, and says, you know, I think my sister-in-law needs help. And then she basically has a nervous breakdown, the character, at the beginning of the film. And she's old, and she looks awful, and she's depressed, and she has to go away from the house. And the mother is so horrible. The mother says, no one in our family has ever had a breakdown. That's outrageous. You know, she's so mean to her. Anyway, she goes to this hospital, and she gets better, a bit better. And then near the end of her time in the hospital, she's worried because she's going to have to go back to the house where her mother controls everything. But the sister-in-law, who's very kind, says, no, you can go on holiday. I've booked you a special cruise, and you can go on this holiday. But because she's been living with her mother, she doesn't know how to be anyone with other people. But also because she's been in this hospital, she's transformed. She doesn't realize she's lost weight. And so she doesn't have any clothes. And, oh, hello, Albert. Hello, Albert. Hopefully Albert's there. And she is transformed from an ugly duckling into a swan by this movie. But she doesn't know how to be anything. She doesn't know how to be in love. She doesn't really know, because she's been trapped by her terrible, controlling mother. But what happens in this film is so clever, and it's a very, very, very moving story. It's literally one of my favorite black and white films. And it's also a transformation story. We call it, hopefully Albert will come on. It's a bit of a Cinderella story. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I can tell from the story.
Yes, the Cinderella story. She, but also she, at one stage she has to go back home, and the performance was very, very good by Bette Davis. She got nominated for an Oscar, and also the music from the film is really famous. It's composed by a man called Max Steiner, who was a great Hollywood composer, and it's got a great ending. The film it's very, very interesting ending for the time, because it's not a perfect ending. It's a sort of an ambiguous, do you know the word ambiguous?
Yeah, ambiguous.
It's got an ambiguous ending, because it's like in life, and for its time, it's quite unusual. Well, the poem, hopefully Albert will come on, I can see him there, but what happens is when I'll quickly tell you, when she goes to the hospital and she's getting better, the psychiatrist is a very kind man, and she's very nervous about going anywhere. And he gives her a little piece of paper with this poem on. It's just 2 lines. And it says, I'll read it, it's a bit complex to understand, but it says, the untold want by life and land, it means never granted. So the untold want by life and land, never granted. Now, voyager, sail thou forth to seek and find. And it means really that sometimes you can't find what you want from home, you know, in your home. You can't find it. It's not there. You know, life and land, you know, so it might, the things that are in your life aren't good sometimes, and your home life isn't good. But the second line says now, and in a way we're all voyagers. You know the word voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says now voyagers sail thou forth. So it's go forth into the world to seek, to look and see and find what you want. Sometimes you can't find what you want at home. And Walt Whitman wrote this in over 130 years ago, I think it was written. But the movie is great. I don't know where Albert is, but he might be there. He's not come on. But I'll just find you the trailer.
I'm here, but
Oh, hello. Are you
outside.
okay? Are you
I'm
okay,
okay,
Albert?
but I just get off my work, so
Oh,
sorry
okay.
for
No
the-
worries. No worries. Well, we're talking about old Hollywood, and to be honest, we're almost at the end, because I started at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah, I know.
But I'll do the trailer. This is about a film, a really, really great film, called Now Voyager, and it's a great black and white film. It's a Cinderella story. Do you know that, the meaning of that? A bit like Pretty Woman is a Cinderella story in a way.
Yeah,
But,
I know the Cinderella's movie.
Oh, you know the Cinderella. You know the concept of but this is like from real life, and this is the trailer for Now Voyager. So it's a black and white film from 1942, but it's a really good trailer. And so I'm going to try and play it. Hopefully it will play. It lets me. It's a real Cinderella story.
I didn't want to be born. You didn't want me to be born either. It was a calamity on both sides. What is the feminine for your word? That's what I am. I knew you were married and I walked right in with my eyes wide open. I'm immune to happiness.
You weren't immune this night on the mountain.
You call that happiness?
My darling, you were crying.
These are only tears of gratitude.
Don't talk like that.
You see, no one ever called me darling. Read it. The intimate journal of Miss Charlotte Dale. Whole secret life hidden up here behind a locked door.
It's worse than Lisa led me to suppose. Much worse. I can only hope that
This is her horrible mother. This is her really horrible mother in the film. Her mother is so, I tell you, the mother is so horrible all the way through. When you watch it, you're like, she's like a witch. It's like, but also what happens, they haven't, it's a strange film. This trailer is not really showing the beginning, because what she looks very beautiful, Betty Davis, but when you actually see what she looks like at the beginning of the movie, she looks, they show you what she looks like at the beginning. They focus on her looking amazing. I'll try and show you what she looks like. So she starts off, this poor lady, and let me see if I can just get it up. Images, let's have a look. Sadly, she starts off at the beginning like this. Can you see this lady?
Yes.
So she's trapped. This poor lady's trapped in this horrible, she's rich, but her mother controls every single thing in her life. Her clothes, who she speaks to, what she does. So so when she transforms into this amazing woman who looks so stylish, she doesn't know what to do. In fact, these clothes aren't even hers. They've been borrowed from her sister-in-law. So it's actually an amazing performance. I have to say, if you want to see it's a proper, we call them, one way to describe them is a weepy. Do you know what that expression means, Albert? Weepy?
Weepy. Oh.
Weep, like a little bit crying.
Yes, exactly, because it's basically, it's a bit of a derogative term, but it's like, it's a film that will make you cry. And it's almost like planned into the movie, because there's certain bits in the movie you'll go, oh, that's terrible, you know, and then it goes, the journey, the arc, we call it the arc of the drama in technical terms, arc of the arc of the drama goes up and down and up and down in the film. It's not like a smooth journey. Even when you think it's okay, something goes wrong with her character. So it's a great film, a great black and white film to watch on a rainy afternoon. But just to share, I just thought I'd share another film by Bette Davis with you. It's a horror film and it's very famous. And she made this with another actress, and it's called, I don't know if you've ever heard of this film. Have you ever heard of this film? Whatever happened. I think it's, yeah, it's not whatever, it's whatever happened is a question. Now, this film is very, very famous in Hollywood history. It's a horror film and it's about Hollywood. So it's actually a film about Hollywood, and it's about two sisters who were movie stars, and they lived together in a house, and they're old. And the story of, I won't tell you exactly what happens, but it has one of the most horrific, when I first saw this, there's a couple of things that happen in the movie that are so horrible. You know what's going to happen. It's one of the first movies where you know something is announced that's going to happen, and then you know it's going to happen. So you have the feeling of dread. Do you know this word, dread? Do you know that word, Albert? Dread. It's an emotion.
I don't know.
Ah, it's a good word. It's a great word. Great word for today, actually. Dread.
It's kind of emotion, right?
Yeah, it's an emotion, but it's basically dread. It's the word dread.
Dread.
It's to anticipate a feeling of fear. So you know something's going to happen. So for instance, in modern horror movies, often you get someone who will go into a dark house and they will go down the stairs, and you know something is in the bottom of the stairs. You know, but the person does not know. So we feel dread. You're like, oh, don't go down the stairs, you know, and that feeling is a feeling of emotion, of apprehension.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's a feeling of dread or apprehension, which is a great word as well. It's a longer word. Oops, apprehension should be an E now. Apprehension. But I'll just try and get the trailer up for the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, because it's horrible. It's a horror film. It's a black and white horror film, but it's a cult. It's called a cult film. I don't know if you know the word cult. A cult film. It means a film that's become so important in cinema that many people watch it, even when it's very old, for different reasons. It might be the direction, it might be the way it's filmed, it might be the acting. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good film, but it could be a good film. But usually it's watched, and this film, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, is like that. It is a horror movie. And in fact, it's so famous that they've made a television series about the making of the film on I think it was on Netflix. And it's because the two actresses did not like each other. So they were having to play sisters. They were both old Hollywood stars playing Hollywood stars, and they have been very competitive. If I can get the trailer up, it's very, very cult film. This is the film. This is the trailer, hopefully. I don't know how much horror. They won't show you everything that's horrible in it, but it's pretty horrible. Oh, this is an advert first, I'm guessing. Yeah, this we've got an advert. This is not it. Oh. Okay, hopefully this is the trailer. It's a great trailer.
Sister, sister, oh so fair. Why is there blood all over your hair?
Whatever happened to baby Jane? To seek the answer to that question, we will follow a man plotting a murder. Highly specialized work. But Robert Aldrich has considerable experience in such matters. He has a dozen successful pictures to his credit.
Now, this is the
His
director.
stars are Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. The scene: an Italianate villa in a once fashionable section of Los Angeles. Its halls, once crowded with the bright, the beautiful, and the celebrated, now echo only to hectic whispers, the insistent call of a buzzer better left unanswered. A telephone that has become an object of fear. A supper tray that will not be touched. A window barred against the world. A hammer. A mute scrawl crying for help. From these elements, director Aldrich has fashioned a motion picture with a curious title: Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? Betty Davis is Jane Hudson. Joan Crawford is Blanche Hudson. But we must warn you, if you're long-standing fans of Miss Davis and Miss Crawford, this motion picture is quite unlike anything they have ever done. It is a bold essay in the art of the macabre, a venture to the ultimate reaches of terror. A motion picture definitely not for the screaming. And we beg you, as the tension builds to the screaming point, as shock after shock assaults your senses, try to remember that this is only a motion picture. Try and remember. No, we can't show you anymore. Only when you see Whatever Happened to Baby Jane will you know. And the answer is total suspense.
It uses a great word in that, the man, macabre. Macabre. Macabre.
The door of the screen is like Chucky.
It's like a what, sorry?
Chucky. Do you know?
Yes, it's a bit like, yeah, but this is like 35 or 40 years before Chucky.
Yeah.
So it shows all those movies take the inspiration from this.
I think so, because they're very similar.
Yeah, because it's interesting with the doll in it, the movie. The reason there's a doll is that the Betty Davis character, she in the beginning of the film, you see, she was a star in Hollywood when she was a child, and she was a big star. But when she got older, she wasn't a star. Then her sister became a star, and they have this rivalry. And the eldest, the Joan Crawford, the other sister, is in a wheelchair, so she can't get out. And so the blonde sister controls her, and it starts off okay, and then it's horrible.
But their performance make me think it's just the performance. It's not a horrible movie.
I know it looks funny, but the thing is, because they're playing actresses about actresses, it's a double level. and
It's-
it's quite,
It's quite funny.
Oh, it is funny as well. Yeah, that's the reason it's a cult film, because some of the lines in the movie are so famous, people shout them at each
Oh.
other. I have a friend who sometimes says to me some of the lines of the film to me, you know, because they're quite funny. Like if you, there's oh, well, I won't tell you what they are, but it's worth watching because yeah, it's sort of so bad, it's good. Do you know that? Do you know the word? Do either of you know the word kitsch? Do you know this word,
Kitsch?
Albert?
Yeah.
Kitsch. Do you know the word kitsch, Albert?
Those are not my type though.
No.
Ah, kitsch is a great word. It's a really, really great word to use about things. It's a great, it's so bad. It's a word to describe, and you could describe it as an object or even a house or a film or a record. It's so bad, it's good. It's like everything is so wrong with it that it becomes great because it's so bad. And some movies are like that. There's quite a few famous movies, in fact, that are considered very kitsch. And Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is one of them a bit. It went from first being a horror. I mean, it's not that really horrible, except interestingly, the story behind the film is very interesting. There's lots of interesting film stories about the making of the film, which are very interesting. Like, well, one of them I can tell you is that, and this is a true story, the actresses didn't like each other at all, and they hadn't liked each other for like 40 years. And there's a scene where the actress has to kick the other one in the head, and they rehearsed it, and she didn't kick her at all, didn't touch her. And when they came and did the take, the actress actually really started kicking her. And it was true, you know, she actually kicked her in the head. She went, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that." But she maybe sort of did mean to do this, maybe, you know, or, but then there's lots of other stories about this. The other actress had to drag the actress a long journey. And when they rehearsed it, it was easy. But then when they came to do the actual single take, the actress put a lot of weights underneath her costume. So the lady hurt her back. The other lady hurt her back because she couldn't lift her. So she was like dragging her, and she really damaged her back. So there's lots of stories about the production of this film, but the actual film is very kitsch. It's very funny. But there's a couple of bits in it that are really horrific that do make you go, not as bad as modern horror films, but make you go, ah, you know, it's quite funny though. You're right, it's very funny. So I think that's it probably for today, because we've gone over time a bit. We're on to 27 minutes past. But maybe what we can do is, because there's lots of things we didn't talk about in acting, and it's quite interesting. I'll quickly tell you there that oh yeah, hopefully you can still see me, Albert, that there's a great film at the beginning I talked about called Metropolis, by Fritz Lang, and I was showing Grace, and Metropolis is a really interesting film to look at. If you want to look at the trailer, it's a really
Metropolis.
Yeah, Metropolis means a city. Metropolis means a city. And this is the silent film that I was telling you about, the science fiction silent film it's very iconic, very, very iconic film. And it's worth checking it out. It's worth just watch the trailer, because it's one of the first films with a robot in the film. It's really, really good. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Let me just come back. I'm not sure what the topics are next week, but you can have a look. But thank you very much for joining me and today, Grace. Great conversation. And Albert, thank you very much for coming along after your work. Have you had a long day, a hard day at your work?
A little bit, but like from this week it becomes very busy.
Oh, okay. What is it you are doing? What work are you doing?
I work in a Korean school.
Oh, okay. A Korean school. Okay, cool. So that's hard work, very hard work. Well, that's good, but hopefully you can still come to some of the classes, hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, well,
problem.
thank you very much. Good
Thank
to see you
you.
both. Bye now,
Okay.
take care,
Bye
take
now.
care of yourselves. Bye
You
now,
too.
Grace, thanks,
Bye.
bye, bye.
Goodbye.